All right, how's everybody doing? My name is Brian Money. I am the Business Development Program Manager for the NAFA National Staff. I am joining you from my living room in sunny Fairfax, Virginia. It looks like it's going to rain, so not so sunny. But today on the Advisor Ambassador Program, we are joined by Cheryl Canzanella. Cheryl has built a career for 20 years in financial services after she graduated with her Bachelor of Science from Palm Beach Atlantic University. She currently holds her Series 6, 7, 53, 63 securities licenses and her insurance license. She obtained her LUTCF from New York College and is currently pursuing her CLU. Among her top awards are the 2014 Women in Financial Services Member of the Year, a number of 4 Under 40 awards, NAFA's 2019 Yacht Leader of the Year. She was the president of Mass Mutual's Brokerage Directors Advisory Council. And so with no further ado, Cheryl, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. So today we're going to talk about mastering your brand, and we're just going to run through some questions. Cheryl, if you want to share your screen, if you have any slides to show us, her contact information will be up there. I will be monitoring the chat, so if anyone does have any questions as we go through the presentation, please feel free to let me know. I'll be kind of popping those in there as we move through the presentation. So as we get started talking about your brand, Cheryl, why don't you give us a little bit of your background, even though I gave everyone the Spark Notes version. How did you get started in the business, and tell us about what you currently do?
So thank you for joining us today, guys. So I think, like most people, I kind of fell into this business. I didn't really set out to be in the insurance and financial industry. It was about 21 years ago. I actually started with Merrill Lynch in 1999. So this was back in the dot-com bubble, I guess. And a lot of people, if you're new in the industry, you probably wouldn't remember that, but I really didn't understand it either at the time, I guess. But what I do remember is that we were having an issue with going from codes from 1999 to 2000. I don't know. It was like the world was ending at that point. I just got in the industry. Honestly, I didn't even know what a stock or bond was when I got in the industry, but I obviously love what I do. I see and I meet people and talk to new people every single day. And I currently work at Mass Mutual, so I'm a brokerage director. And for 9 years, almost 9 years out of the 21 years I've been in this industry, my main role is to partner with other advisors so they can offer our products: life, disability, long-term care, annuities. So even though advisors are mainly my clients, I'm independent. So I have to market and invest in myself, similar to a lot of advisors have to market their own practice. So, when Zach had asked me to do this, I was really inspired because, I do partner with hundreds of advisors. I do help them offer protection for retirement, tax savings, college planning for their clients. But I feel really fortunate that I have the opportunity to see a lot of these advisors and how they progress and develop, I guess, through their practices and how they offer strategies to their clients, which I feel pretty fortunate that I can be able to share that with others and help them with different phases of their practice and how they build, especially when it comes to building their brand. And I can also see when some people don't build their brand either. So, I'm happy hopefully what we share today, I guess, is some of the things that I've learned over the past 21 years in this business and through my experiences and our discussion today. And I hope it's, interactive. Feel free to chime in and so we can, have a discussion, and feel free to ask questions. And hopefully you'll walk away with some ideas and strategies on how to help master, your brand and how you can get to the next step with your practice.
And Cheryl, you and I have known each other for a while. I've had the opportunity to get to meet you and learn a lot about you. So with everything that you've kind of experienced in the industry, as well as in your personal life, when did you really start to focus on building your professional brand, and how has that impacted your business?
It's funny. Even though I've been in the business for 21 years, I don't think my light bulb went off for a while. Just being so involved within NAFA, I would say a lot of NAFA members are familiar with me because I am so active at the local, state, national level since I joined like 10 years ago. And it has nothing to do with the fact that my face is literally plastered on the NAFA.org website, but either way, I don't think, even though I know a lot of NAFA members, I don't think that many have heard this story, but you know, it was probably about 9 years ago when I realized, you know, the impact of my brand. You know, I was getting married, and I think like most working professional women, you know, when you get married, you have to make a decision on what you do. You're faced with changing your name. And I gave it a lot of thought because I had been in this business for so long and people knew me as Cheryl Canzanella. And I really wanted to be a Goodell, but I really did not want to hyphenate that name. I mean, that name would have been, yeah, just forget about trying to spell it and then having to type it out and write it out, you know, no way. So, I changed my legal name because my company was so restrictive because of these securities licenses. They would not allow me to use Canzanella any longer if I changed my name. So rather than hyphenating, I legally changed my name to Cheryl Canzanella Goodell. And, you know, I'm still a Goodell, but, you know, professionally I'm a Canzanella, and I honestly don't know who I am sometimes between personal and professional life. But I mean, I think that sparked my first recollection of building my brand, because that was me. Because no matter what, if I had left the company, if I, you know, opened the door to a new opportunity, that was building my brand right there. And I had been working very hard on that for the last, you know, 10 years, 10, 11 years. So, but I mean, even though I had built a name, I mean, there's more to your brand than just like a logo or a tagline or name, but it's everything combined. But I think it's an experience that we deliver. You know, it's kind of a foundation that we build for marketing. So, and like I said, it started later for me to realize what that truly meant. And I think we often focus on the wrong things sometimes. And I certainly did, because when you're new in this industry, you know, we've got a lot of competition we're facing. We're building a practice. It's not easy. You know, we have to let go of a stable paycheck to hustle, produce. We're in sales, commissions. I mean, and not only that, we have to understand how the back office works, processes, you know, client servicing, compliance. In the early years, it's really tough in this business, you know, without a doubt. And I think we focus on maybe products and why we sell these products, not necessarily why we do what we do. You know, people don't necessarily buy the products, they buy why we do what we do. So I think, and in fact, if you're familiar with Lilly, which is NAFA's Leadership in Life Institute course, in Lilly is one of the many benefits of being a NAFA member, by the way. In Lilly, we read the book, Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And in that book, we learn about, you know, starting with the end in mind. So with that being said, it's, you know, all too often, if we start with product and then we work our way in, you know, we get hired into this. I mean, I think we get wrapped up in it because we get hired to sell products, learn about these products. We live, eat, and breathe the sale because we're, you know, compensated by these products. We're ranked, you know, in the level on our sales, but it's like a small portion of what we do, because if we don't, I guess, build our brand and learn who our identity is and everything that you love about your job, you know, then why do you do it? So I think beginning with the end in mind, what is your why? You know, what's the end result that you're trying to achieve? Is it that you want to help people, you know, provide financial security, you know, help with, you know, the planning for the unknown, protecting assets, leaving a legacy, college planning, etc., even protecting income? You know, where does the product that we sell line up? But it's not our why. So it's not really at the end. It's why we do what we do. If we can figure out with the end in mind, what is our ultimate goal, we can kind of back into everything else and understand what our identity is, which is kind of carving out and embracing our uniqueness. Which, by the way, I think is pretty difficult sometimes because we have so many things. Again, just being new, I mean, compliance, I mean, how do we sacrifice our personality to stay compliant? I mean, many companies, I think they've got a lot of restrictions on us. So it's hard for us to make ourselves, differentiate ourselves among the competition out there. So it's important for us to invest in all the areas that we can produce a presence. And that's part of creating our identity. I think it's trust, it's about impact, making your presence felt, even though it can be difficult, but it's creating that identity. And I think typically our goal is to get the client, but we need to have a process along with that. And starting with the end in mind, knowing our why to build who we are and on our presence for that impact.
Sure. Absolutely. And I can tell you, I will tell everyone that's on the call right now, I'm also a Lilly alumni from last year in the greater DC chapter right outside Washington, DC. And it's really great to see people, who haven't really focused on their brand find their identity. I see Becky Brothers in the chat. Becky, it's great to see you, by the way. But clients really are buying you. Exactly. That's exactly right. Kind of hitting the nail on the head. You have to figure out a way to build your personal brand, find your identity. And she's also a Lilly grad from 2018. So I guess we are in good company here. But it's kind of finding a way to know where to look. So Cheryl, where do you typically find your own resources, something that helps you build your authenticity to differentiate yourself in the industry from what seems to be a crowded group of folks?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's pretty tough to try to differentiate ourselves sometimes when you have companies that are restricting what we're able to provide out there. So it's not just building our brand within the company itself, but creating ourselves and a presence outside of the company. I kind of call myself sometimes like a walking billboard for Mass Mutual. If I'm out anywhere, people either know me from NAFA or they know me from Mass Mutual. And I've done that because of everything that I do kind of fosters relationships that are in and out of this industry, but mainly within, my presence online and social media and staying connected, which now is more important than ever. But the resources there, once you build that identity and you know the reason for what you're doing, it's sharing that story. And in order to share our story, which is our message, we've got to have different ways to be able to do that. And I think in the past, it was easy for us to just go out and, put it, I think we started with like just putting an advertisement in a paper or, or even networking most recently and getting out there engaging with people. But now within the last few months, we've really come a long way with having resources available to us. Now we've always kind of had these resources. I think we've all been kind of engaged online and utilizing technology, but now we've been forced to really have to pay attention to it. So it's changed over the years, but resources from advertising on Facebook to creating videos on YouTube, podcasts, websites, and custom ads and sponsoring, blogging. I think there's so many different resources that we could utilize right now that I think people are more open to than we have in the past. I think it's, it's understandably right now that people want to connect because we haven't been able to do that in person. And we could really build ourselves if we take the tools and we actually utilize them and we do it effectively. I think right now, a lot of people coming on have probably, we've been, second nature to work within social media. We're all on it, right? So second nature using social media, but it's important for us to use it effectively. And it could go both ways. So it can work for you and against you. So it's important right now more than ever to make sure that you have a consistent message. But as far as resources to build our brand, there's a ton of availability with, like I said, the marketing, drip campaign, emails, utilize the content on social media. But I also think it's important for us to find out what our niche is. So if we figure out the true why, we build that authenticity of why we do what we do, but we have to have a focus. And once we figure out who that audience is, then we can drive through to the resources, because I think we need to be more of, an expert. If you want to differentiate yourself with what you can have flexibility with, we can differentiate ourselves by really following a target market. So not just, hey, I want to work with high net worth individuals. We all do, right? But it's really kind of narrowing down. Do you have an alma mater? It's the college market, technology community right now. I mean, this is a great place to be. The doctors, surgeons, but not even just figuring that out, but it's building a platform or a program, something that people, when they think of you, when they think of, Becky Brothers or Carolyn or Dr. Murdaugh, what are they thinking of you for? I know Dr. Murdaugh here online with us, she's built a brand educating people on mainly women with financial services. And so she's become more of an educator. So it's building out what is your niche. And then, when you're to leave the room, what are people thinking of you as, I think that it's important to go beyond just the resources, but you really need to be an expert in your field.
Sure. So kind of building that network, that connectivity that you mentioned. NAFA's we've been building a community for over 130 years. And even within that, from everything that I've seen, there's the Lilly Committee, there's that community that we kind of rely on each other for. Find out someone's a Lilly alumni and there's an immediate connection. There's almost a level of friendship there that you can immediately just kind of hone into. But more online now, since we can't be together. Have you leveraged any social media groups to kind of delve deeper into that sense of community?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously there's, more and more people using social media around the world right now. So it's important to include that into your message and your story. But yeah, I think, like I said, it works both ways. I mean, you should not, if you're going to find your niche and your target market, it's important to be in that niche. And where are they? Are they in groups? Are they in, Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups? And it's not just that you're in the group, but it's being active. So I think, and it's not about you, right? It's not, I hate to break it to you. It's not about you, right? So, I mean, for every one post you make about yourself, you should be making 5 to 15 posts about something else or engaging 5 to 15 times, probably more, I don't know, in other areas. So, if you're making a post to boast about yourself, which you absolutely should, we should be also communicating with others and being able to get involved with share content that's not necessarily related to financial services. Maybe, comment on people's family members, get involved and make it part of being a real person, connecting with your clients. It just gives you a window into their lives and you're invited into their conversations. I mean, these are public conversations that you typically might not even have an opportunity to get involved in. So the more you know people, I think the better that we can serve them. But just remember that window looks both ways. So, even though second nature, social media, it's become second nature to us, we should really be treating it as a window into ourselves as well. But I say you should keep that social media accounts like you're trying to make, it's not just trying to make, you're making friends, it's not just a business. You're not selling something. It's like if Brian, if we were to meet for the first time and you immediately asked me for money, I'd probably laugh at you, but I know you now. I mean, you're a good guy if you ask me for money, but we've built rapport, right? But if you just immediately walked up to me on the street, I mean, I'd laugh at you. I mean, you want me to be loyal to you for something? You want me to participate and do something for you? No way. And it's the same thing goes on social media. So you can't just immediately just say, hey, come, look at what I do and try to sell your product. It's building a friendship, and friendships take a while to build. And I think, we should be maintaining our social media accounts just like we maintain a friendship. It never really ends unless you stop paying attention to it.
Sure. I mean, you're able to nurture some of those relationships to really, kind of drive it home. So it's not just I'm leaning on you for something, but it's, how can I, like Becky said in the chat, what can you do to be bought into? How can people, invest in you as well as you invest in them?
Yeah.
Pull a question from the chat here. Dr. Murdoch said that she has a presentation that she uses five biggest mistakes women make with money. And Becky also asked, do you have specific repeated process or something you can use, maybe a template, maybe that's a story, maybe not necessarily slide decks or anything like that, but is there anything repeatable that you use?
For social media?
For social media, for presentations, when you get to know people initially, anything kind of similar to that.
When I sit down with my clients, my first meeting is typically a fact finder, so it's all about them. And then we kind of go into who I am, what I do with Mass Mutual, what services I can provide. And so we do kind of go over an outline, and I do have some slides that I'll pull out and we'll review when we talk about the products and case design and things like that. But I think Becky's kind of onto something here. It's important to be consistent. So to have a outline, to have a presentation, to have something that is repeatable is important, because branding yourself is about being consistent, because people will remember consistency, and that's going to help with creating kind of differentiating yourself as a unique person.
So I'm going to talk about, shift gears here a little bit. What are the biggest changes you could make to improve your growth? What could you do to, say you're starting maybe towards the bottom, I'm year 4 in the industry and I really rely on social media. Maybe I'm getting hits with kind of a quarantine period. What could I do to really maximize my growth with building a brand distance wise?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think it's embracing right now social media, but I think it's getting involved. If you make it a rule of thumb that you are attempting, let me back up. I think when people, like I said before, people are doing business with us as an individual. And when we sit down to do a business meeting, we're getting to know each other on a formal level. And the reality is, people want authenticity. They want to see who you really are. So being able to utilize social media, that doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to stay within, the compliance guidelines because you're not talking about business. People want to see who you really are. And it's kind of hard to balance between compliance and building that unique brand. So this is where we have a lot of flexibility, especially when we don't have deep pockets for that advertising or building a website. Or investing in leads. So sometimes we get constricted by compliance, and that kind of creates a lack of personality, which makes it harder for us to market our business, especially when we're new. So that could really make ourselves unapproachable. So having the ability to utilize social media as a way for people to get to know the real us, because if we're trying to appeal to everyone, we're going to appeal to no one. So this gives you an opportunity to just be yourself. You might be a little more vulnerable, but telling your story of who you are, what you do, why you do it, is presenting the true value of of who you really are. And I think dropping the financial speak, again, companies invest a lot of money in these websites and these things, but they're all the same. They're the same website as the guy next to me, and it's just got my name inserted. So being able to drop the financial speak, we want to know that you're a real person. And I think social media is a great way to effectively do that. And I think a couple people are messaging. I didn't get to see a lot of the comments, but I think some of the people online are really active within social media within their practices too.
Yeah, and I will say from the folks on the call, I follow Karina, I follow and connect with Becky quite often. I follow Dr. Murdoch, I follow Cheryl, I follow quite a few people that I try to build my personal connections with. So would you say, I'm mentioning everyone I possibly can. And I kind of network with you guys on social media while I can't see you at every conference and every Lilly class, everything like that. So would you say that, networking and building your brand are directly related?
Oh, by far. I mean,
Yeah.
if we were just, you know, selling, we could have the best product out there. We could have the best quality of the product, the best process to get things done. But if we talk about it poorly, or we have no one to talk about it to, there's no one there that can benefit from that product. So you can build your audience in a number of different ways, but I believe networking online and offline is key to building, your brand. And I think they're directly correlated because, again, it's what are people saying about you when you're not in the room? How are they remembering you? What impact did you have? And I think that is absolutely networking, again, socially, online, as well as in person is key to that.
And I'm just pulling some comments from the chat here that are pretty valuable. I think I need to go back to school and get my PhD because April has stolen the title of money doctor from me, and that's money's my actual last name. So that would be part of my personal brand. When I start really getting out there. But yeah, do you there's multiple different platforms. So let's get specific for a second here. Are you personal on Facebook? Are you professional on Facebook? Twitter, is it personal, professional, LinkedIn, either way? Or do you try to keep one thing separate from the other when you're looking to really grow your business? Because sometimes when you're just getting started, some of your leads are coming from those personal connections, and that could be transferable to real estate, that could be financial advising, all that kind of stuff.
Well, again, I think depending on your company gives you the amount of restrictions that you can have on your platforms. But obviously, the typical thing is Facebook is personal, LinkedIn is professional. That's basic. You go to, Twitter and Instagram and, who knows? I mean, maybe people are starting to market on TikTok too, but I mean, and there's other platforms. I don't know. But I mean, personally, I try to keep things, I try to, talk about things personally on Facebook, and I try to keep LinkedIn as professional as possible. That is absolutely my resume for people to see what my accomplishments are, my accolades, and then business updates. But yes, I do try to involve the financial industry into my Facebook. And by doing that, I support other people in our industry. And I think that has had I know that has had a big impact, especially with being labeled or being awarded with Yacht Leader of the Year this year, is mainly because I was, I even got people that know nothing about our industry. They know who NAFA is because of the amount of social media conversations that I have online, and the amount of other people I get involved with posting about NAFA. So I've had people that have no idea really what NAFA is, but now they have an idea because they see it online. So I think it's important to share and kind of overlap a few, but do it sparingly and be careful about what you're doing. Because again, like I said, the window works both ways, good and bad. So it's a brand all around, no matter what you're doing, whether or not it's personal or professional.
So you would say that, what would you say that specifically that NAFA has done to help you kind of build that identity, authenticity, your brand, and kind of help you network with the community that we created?
So NAFA, I mean, all around, I mentioned Lilly as one. This call, the Advisor Ambassador program that we have, I mean, 30 minutes of, quick updates, discussion, interactive, offering real life experiences based on current environment. Again, our companies aren't keeping up with this from a marketing perspective and from a branding perspective. So how I'm rubbing shoulders, well, now online, but I'm able to talk and have conversations with people that are going through similar hurdles, and I'm learning from others. So, I mean, by far, I literally have, personally, it's not just professional, it's personal, but, I've been able to meet new clients through NAFA, but by far, I've built a nation full of friends and mentors in almost every state. And right now, at a time where people are having a difficult time connecting, we need each other more than ever. And NAFA is offering programs like this and NAFA Live, and so many other discussions, town hall meetings that NAFA by far has been communicating and keeping us together, especially during tough times like this.
Awesome. So I know we're short of time here, so I'll end with what is one tip, number one tip or takeaway to maximize growth for you?
So I guess number one, maximizing growth, I guess two things. As I can't keep it down to one. Learn your why, and within building your identity, know what it is, why you do it, why you love to do it. But the second thing is, how do you effectively communicate your message? Sharing your story. That is by far, we figure out why we do what we do and we stick to the core, but being able to effectively communicate that as part of our story. It's important on how we convey that message, why we build our identity, but utilizing those resources we mentioned, and I'm sure there are a ton more research we didn't even get into, but effectively communicate your message, know it in and out, and so much so that your clients and your friends are communicating the message for you, because they're going to be repeating it just as easily as you are.
Awesome. Well, I know we're about at time here, so would you mind sharing your contact information for anyone with questions or anything like that? I know that we could probably talk about this for hours and hours, particularly during a time where we're not shoulder to shoulder or belly to belly, but we're screen to screen right now. So if anyone does have any questions, best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I put my phone number on the screen, and my email address is also on the screen, and my website as well, personal website. So you can always reach me here if you have any questions. And I know we ran out of time. I don't know if some of these chat messages will be available, but I would love to continue on the conversation with anybody if we can.
Awesome. If anyone has any questions for us, again, feel free to reach out to myself or Zach. Happy to help you guys, and we will wrap it up here. Archived recording will be available, and we will go from there. But Cheryl, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, thanks for taking some time out of your day. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next time, okay?
Thank you, Brian.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. See you soon.